Well, the year 2024, the year of Puyo, it's finally given us a new game, Puyo Puyo Puzzle Pop. And the best part is that it's being fully localized, English voices, English language, English release, you know, it all sounds great. But unfortunately for us all, it is exclusive to Apple Arcade. So if you've got a Mac, an iPhone, an iPad, an Apple TV, an iPod Touch, or an Apple Vision Pro, great for you. But for the rest of us that don't have anything in the Apple ecosystem, well, we're kind of out of luck really, but even for those who have the devices I listed earlier, you've still got to pay a subscription fee for Apple Arcade. And this is where we're going to have to start off. We're going to get the negative out of the way, because it's really the only negative. It's a shame that it's such a massive negative though. And it's such a deal breaker. I don't think I could say how awful it is that it's locked to Apple Arcade, because this isn't just a random spin-off Puyo game, it's fully fledged, fully featured Puyo game. But alas, this is where we must start. So let's start with Apple Arcade. What is it? It's simply a subscription service exclusive to the Apple devices that gives you access to many games for free. Think of it as similar to Xbox's Game Pass if you're aware of how that works. The difference between something like Apple Arcade and something like Xbox Game Pass is that 9 times out of 10, or even possibly all the time on Xbox Game Pass, there's an alternative method to get the game you want. So the games on Xbox Game Pass will either have digital or physical releases for whatever system they're on, and some of them are even multi-platform. The problem with the Apple Arcade, especially with Sega releases on there, is that they're usually exclusive to Apple Arcade, so not only do you need a specific set of Apple devices, you also need to be locked into that subscription service. And that's a real shame, because when you look at the general reaction to the game, at first it was excitement. This new Puyo game, it looks great, it's being localized to English. And then you find out it's locked to Apple Arcade, and the majority of the reaction was just disappointment and sadness and just questioning why. Why is it stuck on Apple Arcade? This is where the majority of the worry and concern comes from, and why people don't want this to be stuck in Apple Arcade. Sega have a history of pulling their Apple Arcade releases, and if they do that, and they've not ported this game to any of the systems whatsoever, that Puyo game is lost media, that's it! And even those that had Apple Arcade and played the game, because it was on a subscription service, they never got to own the game, they don't have their own copies, the game's been pulled, they can't play it anymore. So what happens to the people that pay for the game? They don't even get to keep it. That's truly the worst part, because it's been 4 years since Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 release. It's been 4 years since we got our last Puyo release, never mind the localization, just a release in general. And Puyo Tetris 2 wasn't fully featured like Puzzle Pop will be, right? Tetris 2 had, well, Tetris. It had the crossover characters, it had the crossover modes. So it focused on that. It didn't feature the full set of Puyo modes that 50th, 20th, Chronicle, Puzzle Pop are giving. If you want to go back to the last full featured release, you go back to Chronicle, which was 8 years ago. 8 years ago that we got our last full featured Puyo game release, which wasn't localized, was the first Puyo game to be locked to a single console since Puyo Pop on the GBA, unless you really want to count the Engage version of Puyo Pop. That was 22 years ago. This really just shows how backwards this is. And my biggest concern from all of this is that they're going to look at the player count, they're going to look at the download statistic, they're going to see that they're poor, and they'll look at it and go, well, we tried, clearly the demand isn't there anymore, we just won't do this anymore. And of course the numbers are going to suck, because you've locked it to a specific ecosystem, you've locked it to a subscription service, right? There's so many Puyo fans out there are not going to be able to shell out the money that they need for an Apple device capable of running the game, and then also paying that subscription service to continue playing the game for as long as they need to. And especially when they're trying to get a device that has controller support and not trying to play it on a touchscreen through an iPhone or an iPad. I could go on and on forever about just how much of a detriment this Apple Arcade exclusivity is for this game, for this series, for the fan base, but you know, no one wants to listen to pure negativity, and so I'm gonna cut it there. I think I've said enough as is, and move on to the positives and my analysis of the content that we've been given so far. And thankfully, I have quite a lot to say on positives. So straight into the positives, and the first one is that, well, it's being localized. The English class seems to have been retained, and they sound great from what we hear in the trailers. Not only is the game already fully featured with 24 characters at launch, a plethora of different game modes to play, endless modes, survival modes, endurance modes, it even has a full-on story mode. And there will be even more, because this game will be receiving post-launch updates in a similar style to Puyo Tetris 2. They've promised extra characters and extra game modes in the free updates. I'm a huge fan of the art style they've gone with for this game because, as you might know, I'm a huge fan of Puyo Chronicle, so carrying on the 3D chibi style with an updated look that looks a bit fresher and a bit more suited to the Puyo style is a great evolution. Because of this art style, now that we see what this game looks like, we finally solved the mystery of December 13th. Now we can't say much about the soundtrack considering that the only song heard in the trailer was Arle's theme, and that was specifically the Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 version of it. However, that isn't too much of a concern considering they really like to reuse their remixes of Arle's theme. From Puyo 15th all the way to Puyo Chronicle, the same version of Arle's theme was used. I'd be very surprised if the game had a poor soundtrack, because pretty much every Puyo game has a good soundtrack. You can go to any Puyo game whatsoever, and there will be some banger soundtracks within them. So I'm expecting this game to have some amazing soundtrack. Let's get on to analysing this game and theorising what could be going on with this game, and we'll start off with the starting roster of 24 characters. So right off the bat, in the website banner, from left to right we see Draco Centaurus, Lemres, Sig, Amity, Arle and Klug, along with a weird cat thing in the centre. Oh, and Carbuncle of course. We get to see Ringo in one of the App Store images. You can spot Rafina in the third player slot of this screenshot. We can see that the adventure mode has a battle against someone called Shadow Mouse. You can spot Ocean Prince during the trailer, as well as Skatadora. Moving on, we can tell that the animations are pretty much one-to-one with Puyo Chronicles. This combined with the art style makes me believe that the starting 24 of Puyo Chronicle all are going to be in the game. There might be 2 of them kicked out for Shadow Mouse and the weird cat thing, but the 2 that get kicked out will definitely be added as DLC characters. And we could probably expect the 5 characters that were RPG exclusive as well, being Ragnar's, Harpy, Cerealy, Onion Pixie, and Dogurigairu. A nice thing to look at is the upgrade to the Manzai system, or rather a rollback of the Manzai system, as you can have more than 2 characters on screen at one time, just like in FIFA 2. Moving on to the possible game modes, we've seen quite a few in the trailers and screenshots. So starting off, we of course have the Puyo 2 and Puyo Fever modes. The trailer also shows us Mega Puyo, and we get to see that these modes also have an endurance mode. The Japanese and Korean App Store pages for this game actually have extra information compared to the English pages. On screen I have the original Japanese and the machine translated Korean version. The reason I didn't machine translate the Japanese version was simply that they didn't get the names of the modes correctly, whereas the Korean translation did. So just for the sake of easy reading, I've done it this way. So in addition to the Puyo 2 mode, the Puyo Fever mode, and the Mega Puyo mode that we've seen in the trailer, we also have Puzzle Puyo, also known as Task mode, Blocks, Big Bang, and the best mode, Mini Puyo Excavation. Let's go! Moving on over to the Spanish App Store, and this is present in a number of European languages. We get to see mention of an arcade mode where you climb the Madol Tower. This immediately makes me think of Puyo Puyo 2, where you climb the tower in that game's story mode. But it also mentions that the special map changes every time you enter the tower, so it could be more like FIFA 2's Endless Tower. The Japanese and Korean store pages mention that you can also enjoy the story of each character, and through these screenshots we can see that Amity and Ringo at least have their own story episodes. But the European App Store pages only mention Altogether Adventure mode in a similar style to Tetris 2. We get a basic synopsis of the story from the official website, which says, after waking from a mysterious dream, Amity discovers herself in the world of dreams. This is just the beginning of a whimsical journey, unraveling the mysteries and magic of this realm, while winning Puyo matches to find a way to break free and return home. It's cool to see Amity having the spotlight again. Of course, Arle and Ringo will be there with her for a lot of the game, but it seems that they might be focusing more on Amity, with Arle and Ringo serving as sidekicks. Looking at the screenshots of the adventure mode, we can see that there's a lot of branching pathways, so I wonder if they're a bit like Puyo Tetris 2's, where they're just extra stages that give a little bit of extra info, or if they actually are alternative paths that you can take through the story that might end up to the same place, but you might end up seeing different parts of the story if you follow one path over the other. Back to the character roster one last time. The Spanish App Store mentions that the game will have 24 characters selected from the entire history of Puyo Puyo. Now this isn't as big of a deal as it initially sounds, considering that every Puyo game has characters from the history of Puyo Puyo, just by virtue of having the Compile era characters, the Fever era characters, the 7 characters, and the Chronicle characters. But it's weird they say 24 characters from the history of Puyo, because I would imagine Shadow Mouse and the weird cat thing would have their own character slot. Now it could be possible that they share a character slot in the similar way Light Maul and Dark Maul did in Puyo Tetris 2, but then that would make question of what it means by the history of Puyo Puyo then if we have a brand new character on the slots. One thing you may have noticed by now is that the Puyo Quest styled card customization for your player icon that was featured in Champions and Tetris 2 makes a return here. And might I add that the menus for it looks far better than they did in any of the previous games. In fact, the menus in general, even for selecting the Puyo skin that you're using, look a lot better. Rather than being a single option where you can only see one at a time, you can see multiple at a time and get a clear preview of the skin. There aren't any new Puyo skins for this game. It defaults to the gummy Puyos, which were introduced in Chronicle and used again in Puyo Tetris 2. And we can see that all the available Puyo skins doesn't even fill out a full page, though the presence of a random option is very amusing. Onto the player icons, and there appear to be 21 pages of 15 slots each for character icons. So this means there could be anywhere between 301 and 315 icons to use in this game. For reference, Puyo Tetris 2, after having icons added in the DLC updates, had around about 225. It's unfortunate to see the absence of the dual colour frames and the 7-star frames, because I think they would have added a lot of extra customization for players, as well as the backgrounds that would have come with them. Another new piece of customization is the badges. However, they fall under the Puyo card rather than just the player icon that the other customizations fell under. This Puyo card might be related to your online presence and what people see when you go online. There are 7 pages of 15 badges, so there could be anywhere between 91 and 105 badges to choose from. We of course see that you can choose the Puyo colours and the Nusus Puyo as badges, but I wonder if you could get characters as badges, like little pins of them. One thing I've just noticed as I'm nearly done editing the video is that back to the adventure mode screenshots, you see that Shadow Mouse is level 1. Now, I'm not sure what that means because we've not seen any indication of skill battle returning, nor a skill battle of the mode used in those battles. But level 1 could just mean the power of the AI, so level 1 AI would be really easy. So that's everything that I've noticed about Puzzle Pop. I think it's a very promising game. It looks amazing, it's really good. I like the art style, I like the premise of the adventure mode, I like the customization available on the icons. There's so many good things about the game. And then you remember it's Apple Arcade exclusive, which just puts a dent into everything. There's so much potential in this game. I implore Sega, if any person from Sega at all with any kind of influence is watching this video, please listen to the community, listen to everyone's cries, and please, we need this game to be released outside of the Apple Arcade, even if it's just a straight one-to-one port onto PC or even just Android phones, right? This is a fully featured Puyo game that is being localized. We've not had a full-featured Puyo game get localized like this. 15th anniversary, 20th anniversary, Chronicle, none of them got localized, right? They all have fan translations and they are amazing to play through, but there's something about an official localization that is just so much more convenient for everyone, and it's so much better, it's so much more accessible. Not everyone is going to have access to be able to apply translation patches, especially if they're not using emulators or modded consoles or anything like that. Plus, you have to think about how many people are going to be willing to pay a subscription service fee just for one game. So having an option to just buy the game and own it as a one-time purchase would be perfect. So many more people would get the game in that way, and so many people would continue to play the game rather than maybe playing it for a 1-month trial and that's it. And with a game like Puyo, especially with this online mode, it's a game that you're gonna want to play for as many times as you want, rather than be locked to the period of your subscription service. And a standalone release would do wonders for the competitive community as well, not only for Sega's official tournaments, which currently use the visually bland Puyo champions, but having community tournaments that use this game as well are just more and more exciting to watch then, thanks to the extra visual flair the game has. To cut it short, this game seems amazing, but it just needs to be released outside of Apple Arcade. Well, I think that about sums up my thoughts and analysis on Puzzle Pop. I want to thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. I want to do this more, I want to make this a full-time thing, I want to do more content like this. And so to start that off, I'd like to ask you all to like, comment and subscribe. Oh yeah, we a proper YouTuber now baby, let's go. And I also want to tease you in on future plans. I've been teasing about a big video I've been working on for about the past month now. That is still in the works. I have big plans for it, and it won't only make that video great, it'll make all my future videos great and my future streams really good as well. So I hope you're ready for this upturn in quality of content from me, because I really want to commit to this. If you guys ever feel like giving me some support, then well, I'm trying to get monetization back, so just watching my videos, getting me those view hours would be great. If you really feel like you want to throw money at me, I have a Ko-Fi page. Otherwise, you know, the usual like, comment and subscribe. I've done it again, I'm truly a YouTuber now. Yeah, thank you very much everyone, and I will see you next time.